We're going live.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's live stream. My name is Sara Lomelin. I am the Executive Director of Philanthropy Together. On today's live stream, we also have Taisha Wilson, our Director of Engagement, Kaison Buntuwong, our Director of Development and Partnerships, Liasa Shabazz, our Senior Manager of Marketing and Community, Alisa Glenn, our Team Associate, and Isis Krause, our Strategic Advisor. We're less than 24 hours away from Giving Tuesday, which is a global day of giving, of doing good, of celebrating generosity. And just like Giving Tuesday, our mission of democratizing and diversifying philanthropy is fueled by grassroots generosity and the power of everyday givers. For those who may be new to our channel, Philanthropy Together is a global initiative to grow and strengthen the Giving Circle movement. Giving circles are when individuals come together, they discuss their values or issues in their community and decide together where to make a collective gift. You can learn more by visiting whatisthegivingcircle.com. Every Giving Circle begins with a conversation. Let today's conversation serve as inspiration for an activity with your Giving Circle or motivation to gather your friends or consider starting your own Giving Circle. Throughout today's community conversation, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also let us know what questions you have in the comment section. With that, I am going to pass it to Eliasa, who will moderate today's discussion. Take it away, Eliasa.
Thank you, Sada. I'm so excited for today's talk. And before we get started, I'd like to share the 6 guidelines from Weaving Community for today's conversation. So by participating in today's conversation, we're all accepting each of these guidelines, and I'm going to read through each of those. We will be present and not multitask. We will avoid assumptions about others and listen first to understand them. We will give time and encourage all voices, no matter how quiet or different. We will trust each other to speak honestly. We will respect each other's fears and vulnerabilities, and we will be patient with those unfamiliar with technology. Now, let's get to it. So, as Sada mentioned, one of the core components of a Giving Circle is discussing values. Our values shape who we are and how we give. So I'd love to go around and hear what values are most important to each of you. So I'm going to kick it off. Let's start with Taisha.
Hey, everyone. I'm super excited about this conversation. You guys know I am very, very passionate. I have 3 values that I hold dear to my heart and that really play out in the way that I live my life and interact with the world around me. And that's faith, family, and community. These are my human truths. You know, I am a mother of 5. And so family is very, very important to me. And I try to the best of my ability, I'm raising many philanthropists through my kids and, you know, through the spirit of giving, instilling in them, you know, the culture, the impact that giving to others and serving the community and what that looks like. And I'm just very passionate about that. My faith is also something that guides me. I am a woman of faith, and I think that that also guides my giving as well. I give to my churches. I give financial gifts, my time, volunteering, things like that. And then very similar to my people, my family here, my Philanthropy Together team, I'm very passionate about community, and that's what we're trying to build up here. We are definitely building here within Philanthropy Together a community of giving circles and people that are passionate about, you know, boots on ground and making, you know, having a lasting impact and through the power of giving circles. So yeah, I'm super passionate about those 3: faith, family, and community. What about you, Alyssa?
Well, thank you. I'm also very happy to be in this space. Growing up, my mom has always instilled in me to give back. Being from a Jamaican family, we often did a lot of giving circles, not even knowing it was giving circles. We called it partner. So that's always been a value that's been instilled in me, as well as family as well. We did a lot of things collectively. As it has just been Thanksgiving, we did a turkey drive, always giving back where we see fit. And yeah, that's what I would say is one of my values as well.
I'll jump in. Both of you, I feel like, are talking a lot about community, and that's always really central in my giving and what I just believe in. And through my work with Philanthropy Together and a lot of my other clients, just really seeing how the actual organizations and people on the ground living their own experiences, how that's so central to who I want to give to. I don't want to give to big organizations who, don't have the first line experience of what communities are going through. So that really shapes who and what I give to, and yeah, what I care about. What about you, Kaisen?
Yeah, it's interesting because I come from a family of immigrants. So for us, your community is your family. Like that's who you kind of stick with. That's the people you give to. But as I kind of grew up, learning more about, like, I guess you can call it American giving culture, you kind of branch out and you start having a wider lens of who your community is. It's the people you live with geographically. It's now becoming all the people in your university. And now I think I've come to more of a global community perspective, and really trying to shape my giving in that way, and thinking about who I am as a global citizen and the communities abroad even that I want to affect change in. So, doing here is doing well abroad is some of the ways in which I give. So that's definitely been a huge part of my giving journey. So Sada, how about you?
I think for me, well, everything that you have shared resonates with me. I'm an immigrant myself. So, Lisa, what you said about your family, and Kaison about yours, resonates a lot with me. But I think, the two big values that are core to my life are love and justice. So, for me, as I'm also a mother, not of 5, but of 3. And for me, love is what moves this world completely. And justice, because everyone deserves to have access to the same opportunities. When I first moved to this country 24 years ago, I don't know, I always thought that, my community, the Mexican American community is like, everybody's living the American dream, right? And shortly after I moved, I realized that that was not the case. And for me, I felt a sense of duty and responsibility to, open access as much as I could for my community here. And as as Kaison is saying, like, my community expanded from my family or my immigrant friends to everyone that is around me. And as Isis mentioned, I also make a point to support very small grassroots organizations that sometimes they don't get the big funding, right? And it doesn't mean that they are not doing great work, because they are doing amazing work. Just means that they don't have maybe the bandwidth to go and tell to the world the amazing world the amazing work that they're doing. So I do make a point in my giving to support very small organizations. What about you, Ilyasa?
Yes, I definitely agree with, and everything that everyone is saying also resonates with me. And, with the community aspect, just thinking about the community that I grew up in, I grew up in Queens, New York. I grew up in a multi-generational house, from my grandmother down to my niece. So many generations in a house, but something that my family always instilled in me was the importance of being self-sufficient and being able to provide for oneself. I feel that was just so instrumental in my upbringing. And I found, I wasn't always a donor, but I was volunteering. So I love how Taisha talked about how, her values also shape how she spends her time, because that was something as I was growing up where I was spending my time. I found that the organizations that I was working with, I loved working with organizations that were providing services directly to people, and working with that one-on-one in that one-on-one setting. And one organization, Habitat for Humanity, they have this saying where they say, we give a hand up, not a handout. And, with me, with self-sufficiency being so important in my life, that line always stays with me, because it's not, that these organizations are out here just giving handouts or charity. It's that they're giving people an opportunity, giving them a chance. And sometimes that's all someone needs, a bit of luck, an opportunity, is all they need to push their themselves forward. And so that definitely shapes how I give. So yeah. With that, I'd love to segue into our next question, which is, how have the crises of 2020 impacted the way you give? And I just shared about, self-sufficiency being a value that is really important to the way that I give. But I found that this year in 2020, that really there were so many causes that spoke to me, because with the pandemic, so many things were brought to light. There was housing security, food insecurity, unemployment, like all these big issues that were brought to light. And I found it really difficult to pick just, going in one lane. There were so many things that needed support. So I'd love to, turn it to Isis and see, how have these crises impacted your giving?
Yeah, I mean, typically I sort of give to organizations, but I found myself through COVID world, like anytime I am in any setting where I can leave somebody a tip, where it's just like, they are in a restaurant or in some other setting, serving me and helping me and putting their life in danger for everybody that they come in contact with, or like, real frontline workers in every sense of the word. So I've just found myself really giving much more in like that personal, local, individual way than I found myself do before. So that's been one big change. And then I think with sort of the racial reckoning happening this summer, even though I knew it already intellectually, hearing and seeing the stories of Black, Brown, Indigenous people and everything, people are going through, and just how little funding goes to organizations led by people of color, it's really shifted where I'm giving my money in terms of organizations. And I've also found myself doing a lot more political giving than I had in the past for the election. So quite a change in how I've given previous years. And I think a lot of that's here to stay in 21 and beyond for me. What about you, Kaisen?
Yeah, and I've always tried to give my kind of time, talent, and treasure in terms of like structural work. Like, how do we get like structural things to change? And what I found in 2020 was that there's people at the very, very grassroots level, even activists who need support directly to keep doing the work that they're doing. So I found myself giving to individuals in ways that I hadn't done before. So that was one thing that kind of shed light for me in 2020, was the amount of need at the singular level, the individual level. So that was, one in reactionary to the times and largely around kind of forgotten voices right now. So that has definitely shaped how I've done kind of my giving this year. But 2020 threw me for a loop. So, my giving is now, I almost have to redo my thinking around it, because, what ultimately comes down to is what is it personally aligned with in terms of my own values at the end of the day. So, I'm still figuring it out. I think it's a journey, like I said before, but yeah, it's been such an interesting year. So who wants to go next? Maybe Ty?
Yeah, so you and Isis, y'all said a lot, and I share y'all passion for wanting to give more locally. I feel like that has been I've always been really intentional about the way that I give, but definitely being more conscious in terms of like the businesses, like where I eat at, what organizations I just, how I leverage them on social media, like, sharing their posts, just even giving in that way. Isis, I'm with you. I definitely contributed to quite a bit of political campaigns and such. Definitely want, because we know the impact of policy, right? So just being more intentional with my gifts with that. And honestly, y'all, with my community, I feel like with like what you said, Kyson, like with my neighbors, I know I have a lot of like older neighbors here in my subdivision. So just reaching out to them, picking up boxes, extra food at the grocery store, things like that. Just checking in with them a lot more than I probably, have in the past. Just being more aware of, immediate needs that's right here within my, right here within my community. So yeah, I would definitely say that just, this whole pandemic, just 2020 just has rewired a lot of our brains and the way, just having us to rethink, the way that we're moving in general, definitely in the spirit of giving as well. So yeah, what about you, Satter? I'm interested in how the pandemic has shaped your, shift your giving.
Well, I think, I have always, again, making a point as Kyson to give, to kind of change the systems. But this year, everything got, shaken, right? When the pandemic started, my daughter was working at a grocery store, and now she works at a restaurant. So she has been kind of like an essential worker the whole time. And that, opened my eyes in a whole other way. Again, to support our small businesses, our local entrepreneurs, to support just people in our community, senior citizens that need to take care of themselves, and we can do something to support them, right? Just by, lending a hand to our neighbors. In terms of giving, I have been supporting, kind of the same organizations as always, because they have been extremely responsive, not only in terms of COVID-19, but also, the wildfires here in California, and also the racial equity reckoning. But definitely this year, what has changed is that I have given more. And I think, this is something that I'm happy about it. It makes me happy. And I hope this is, just something that will keep growing in the following years. And again, I feel that with my 3 children, they are giving now also their own money to different causes, which, makes me happy. So what about you, Alisa?
I also have had to rethink the different causes I've supported in this time. And for the college students who might not always have the dollar amount they feel like to donate, in this time, it's also been about, donating your voice, donating your time, to different causes, especially with the racial injustices and the pandemic as well. Even if it was just, I found myself donating waters, donating gallons of milk to activists who I knew were going to protest, and also when it was needed to give to bail funds and different causes that were in my community. So 2020 has definitely showed me that there's so much more than a dollar amount. Of course, giving money is important as well, but your voice, there's so much more that you can give than money.
I agree with that so much. And I think, again, what everyone is saying is really hitting home. And something that Taisha said about giving locally, is that also in my community, I found that my giving has shifted because I know that some of the businesses and some of these nonprofits that when like with the onset of the pandemic, we didn't know if they were going to make it through. And so, that definitely, as there were emergency campaigns popping up all over the place, and really it was hard to say no, because it's like, you know what value this organization or that this small business provides, especially like the small mom and pop shops that exist here in Greensboro, North Carolina. So that was really key with me shifting my giving. And also, Sada, you talked about your children giving, and that's something I see with my niece now, who's a teenager. I love seeing that she's also thinking about where she's spending her dollars, so she's thinking about more Black-owned businesses that she's going to support versus just the big chains. And I love seeing that budding as she's growing up. And so we're going to go into our last question, where would love for us to bring it back to giving circles, because we know that's at the core of what we do here at Philanthropy Together. So I'd love to hear how have your giving circles pivoted to respond to the needs of your community? And so I'll kick it off with Sada.
Thank you, Eliasa. I think definitely if we have learned something this year is that the communities that have been most affected from the pandemic have been, communities of color. And my giving circle, the Latina Giving Circle Peninsula, we support Latino-led small nonprofits in the San Mateo County in California. So right when COVID started, we didn't, waste a single minute. Like, we got on a Zoom call and we said, what are we doing? Usually, we give our grants in October, but by this point, this was, early April. So we got on a call and we said, okay, how much money do we have on hand? It was not much because, we were just starting the year, right? And people contribute, most people contribute monthly. So by April, we just had like a small pot of money. And we said, okay, we need to call everybody in the giving circle and see if people can contribute whatever they were going to contribute to the whole year, if they can give it now. So we call our grantees, our current grantees, but not only them. We called every single grantee that we have given in the past 5 years. And we just said, what do you need? And for example, one of them needed a new fridge. I mean, something as simple as that. Like their big refrigerator needed repair, and it was going to be super expensive to repair, and he just needed a new fridge. So we called each of them and said, okay, don't worry, like we'll make it happen. So in a matter of a week, we were able to raise about $15,000, and we gave those funds away. And my giving circle is part of a larger network of Latino-led giving circles. And I think this year we have moved almost like $1 million among, the 22 giving circles so far. So it has been extremely, heartwarming, the response of everyone. And again, I think giving circles, what it's amazing about giving circles is the relationship, the close relationship that we can create with the nonprofit leaders. So there is no, power structures. We're just friends. We're the same people. So we just call them and said, what do you need? Here it is. Let's get the money and let's give it to those leaders so they can, continue to do the work that they need to do. So, yeah.
That's awesome, Sada, that you and your giving circle, how you guys have shifted during this time. bringing us down here to Dallas, Texas, here with my giving circle, Heritage Giving Fund. We are a collective group of Black women that fundraise to support Black women-led nonprofit organizations in the Dallas area. And Heritage has always been rooted on strengthening communities and honoring our legacy and supporting the nonprofit organizations in our community that are often doing a lot of the heavy lifting, but very under-resourced. And so when the pandemic hit in April, we got together, specifically one of our founding members, Dr. Frazwa Booker Drew. She got us together and really challenged us to go deeper than the financial contributions that our circle allocates to the grantees, to really start looking at the long-term impact that COVID will have specifically on the African-American community. And so what we did was we reached out to another organization called Men of Honor, and together, Heritage and Men of Honor, we joined forces to create Power in Action, which is a intergenerational organization that is going to look at the long-term effects of COVID, specifically to address issues wrapped around education. I think economic development is one, criminal justice, healthcare, mental health. So for us, this was a good way for us to really engage on existing assets that's in the community and bring people together to kind of figure out how we can collectively fund some of these fund these issues. And so just leveraging our existing network and firms and our connections, we are in a process of, we're having discussions to create a racial equity fund that's going to be housed up under Power in Action. But our goal really is to really open up this space for us to be able to pivot beyond just the financial gifts and looking at those specific areas identifying key partners who are doing the work in those areas, and then figuring out how we can support them, how we can leverage their support, and having those conversations very similar to what we're doing here, just community conversations wrapped around these issues that are affecting the community. So I'm super excited. I'm very proud of Heritage for us to literally be just a group of Black women that got together, created a giving circle, and now have formed an entire organization from that, Power in Action. I'm excited for us and very eager to see just kind of how it grows and how we can, how Heritage will kind of mobilize in this new way through Power in Action. So super excited about that. But that's also, the power of giving circles. Like once you start the arms and the tentacles of your reach and the impact that you'll start to do out in the community, this is what the impact that giving circles can have on a community once people get together and just want to get things, I was about to say something else, get things done. So thank you for asking that.
We always talk about everyone being a philanthropist and how at Philanthropy Together, that's what we're trying to do. And this was so fun to hear all of you and how we're all philanthropists in our day-to-day life. So thank you all.
Well done.
Yes, definitely. And yes, just to echo what Isa said, thank you all for participating and sharing during today's conversation. I think, with what everyone shared, and particularly what your giving circles are doing, that it's a true inspiration that any giving circle members or leaders who are watching this can take this back to their circle and really use this conversation as a model for jumpstarting those conversations within your group. There's strength and there's power in numbers, and giving circles truly maximize your impact, and it can all start with a conversation. So thank you all who tuned in today. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and let us know what you think in the comment section. We're happy to hop on and do more of these conversations. Let us know what you're thinking, what you'd love to hear us talk about. So thank you and bye. Have a happy Giving Tuesday tomorrow.
Bye.
Giving Tuesday.
And don't forget, if you want to do a pop-up giving circle with your family or friends, you can download our toolkit and you will see it on